Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Vallen, and this is Astral Sorcery. Today we're going to be covering Constellation Part 2, the Stellar Refraction Table. Now that we've gotten very far into, well, Astral Sorcery and all the wonderful, colorful things that you can potentially do with it, there's still plenty more to go. For those that are familiar with witchery, there's actually kind of a brewing mechanic in this. Plus, there's an enchanting mechanic. In fact, it's much stronger than you might otherwise think. And that's why we're going to be covering primarily just two things in this episode, and that's going to be the Stellar Refraction Table and the Iridescent Altar. First, we're going to cover the Stellar Refraction Table, as the Iridescent Altar is what's used for the next chapter after this, as well as you can use it for anything before, but it's not required for the Stellar Refraction Table. Now, the recipe I have here, as you can see, it requires any kind of ink or coloring item in the top corners here, plus other things in here, including resonating gems, which we recently have obtained in making, plus any kind of logs you can put in there. Grab your resonating wand, right-click, and you get your fantastical, wonderful, colorful-looking display here of all sorts of stuff. Yes, I've got a lot of colors going on. I've got some regeneration rays coming in from the prisms. I've got my little wheat farm going on over here with the growth prism. But it's a lot of fun setting all this stuff up. But we're covering the refraction table. The refraction table is excellent. It's a brand new mechanic. And yes, it is very large. I mean, if you look at it, I'm carrying this thing. It's kind of under my arm here. But I set it down, and it's kind of like this little colorful thing. You think, all right, well, this looks like some kind of like painting item or perhaps a chalkboard. No, it's actually one part of two. There's a second part that's going to be required. And if you look in your journal after clicking on the Stellar Refraction Table, click over a couple more pages, you'll see that you need to still make an infused glass. Now here's the thing, infused glass is reusable, but it will eventually have a durability. It's something that you shouldn't be afraid to make several of if you so desire. In fact, I recommend it if you're into using the Stellar Refraction Table at all. So you're going to need a bunch of resonating gems and lenses, but you will need one of the colored lenses in the center. You don't have to have this one specifically. Now, I'm not going to actually craft this up as you just saw the recipe. I'm just going to spawn one in, or rather a bunch of them, and we're going to go from there. So you take the infused glass, and you can see here it actually has kind of a transparent texture. You can see myself and other things through it. It's pretty cool. But you just right-click it on here, and you'll put it into your Stellar Refraction Table, which it's still not done yet. It's blank. You've got your different, a few of the different constellations going on here. What is all this about? Well, next you're going to need a whole bunch of parchment. That's right, regular old parchment, which is made with like aquamarines and paper. Will get you like 4 at a time. You can put in up to a stack in there, and of course I'm in creative, so I'm just kind of duplicating this stuff. But if you put in the paper as well as infused glass during nighttime, of course, this all has to be nighttime, and it's best if it's in the middle of the night is your best time for doing this, when like the moon is straight up. Right now, it's very unlikely that things are going to work in my favor, and if so, things are not going to be as optimal. So what can this do? It can make an enchantment kind of oculus or glass etching that can be reused over and over again to create brews, enchanted books, or enchant items, weapons, armor, etc. And this is really, really strong in a lot of ways. Now, I've changed the time to be just before midnight. So if I open this up, I can see I've got the different, constellations here. And if you look in your journal here and you click on your constellations tab, let's choose Evitus here, and we'll click on that. You see it's got the general description. You click over to the side and you see it has a refraction table description here. Plus, of course, the ritual effect. Refraction table is exposing a potion to the rays of the constellation of life transforms it into a regenerative tincture, whereas exposing a tool to Evitus allows it to mend itself. So that means that it's going to create mending and or give a regenerative property, depending upon what you're using it for. So what can I do with Evitus, let's grab it over here. We'll put it on here. And here's the thing. You need to put 3 different or same or a combination of them of the different constellations on here. You see, I put 3 and it burned. It will do that. Don't worry. That's something that it does. So, oops, I keep on like looking off to the right, trying to grab another copy here. But just know that you can line them all up if you want. Just line them all up exactly. It doesn't really matter. If you have more overlaps, you're probably more likely to get, some of the special effects. There we go. I just lined up a few of the stars. Nothing really fancy. But you look here, and I now have a creative, because I'm in creative, Evitus engraved glass. So what next? Well, you take out the paper, which I'm going to clear that off of there, and you leave the glass in place. Now, if you want to, you can shift right-click and take the glass off, and you can see it's enchanted now. And it will have a durability, if not in creative. I just duplicated it because I'm in creative right now. But it will have a durability of, I believe, 10. And if you do something like potions, it will have a chance of not using up any durability at all. Same thing with books, armors, weapons, tools. But here's the thing. If you do use those, there is also a very good chance that it will use up durability unless it's a potion, which is like the very lowest chance. So for a potion, you can have all sorts of things. In this case, I'm just going to take a regular old bottle of water, put it on here, and it's going to start enchanting this bottle of water itself. It's got some really cool particle effects, and it zaps it with lightning here. And if you wait long enough, there we go. We just shift right click to take this off of here, and we get Regeneration 4 for 4.5 minutes. Wow, that's fantastic. You can do this with splash potions, with your lingering potions, and so on. You just need to have a bottle of some kind of like awkward potion, water bottle, or anything along those lines, your thick potion, etc. And you can start creating your own potions. Now, that was only one constellation that I have on here. If I want to, I can switch this out, take it out elsewhere. Let's store this in here for now, and we'll put a different one in place. Let's put this one in there. And then I'm going to actually grab my paper, fill that back up, and now I can try and make some other ones. Let's actually change the time back to just before midnight, so it'll give me a little bit of a chance here. And we could switch it out with several different ones. Cydia, Armara, Evitus. There we go. Hey, I got lucky. First try, right? So there we go. Now, if I shift click, take paper out, and then I put down something like another water bottle. Let's grab this one here. We'll see what kind of different effect we're going to get in this case. So if I take, let's say I've got an infused crystal sword, perhaps a pick, maybe I've got a chest plate. Let's grab a diamond chest plate here. I might be able to do something with these depending upon what the items are. Now, I've just picked those at random. In this case, we've got Strength 2, Resistance 2, and Regeneration 3, all for around the 5-minute, 6-minute mark, maybe a little bit more. So you can see the different bonuses from this Stardew potion, which is absolutely wonderful. And you can see also, just by clicking in here, no durability was lost in the making of this potion. Really, really good. So you can put items in here. I just dropped in a pick, and it just so happens that some of the enchantments that I chose from the constellations will line up with this pick property and potentially give it some extra enchantments. So it is complete. I look at it and it has Mending 2. Excellent. That's great. What if I put a chest plate in here? Will that work? Sure it will. At the very least, it should get a mending property because that's applicable to just about any kind of item. But maybe we'll get something a little bit extra on there. Let's find out. In this case, I got Mending 2 and Protection 4. Oh, wonderful. And if I put this crystal sword in here, will it get enchanted? Yes, it will. Now here's the thing. Crystal tools and weapons do not get mending because they don't mend that way. They absorb starlight, so they don't work with experience. But if I shift right click, you can see I now have Sharpness 6. Sharpness 6, my friends, on this. It's a bit ridiculous, but it's really, really good. Wow, that actually is really impressive. But yes, you can do this. You can also, let me grab some books here. Grab a book, put it on place, and we wait for that to enchant, and it will put some different enchantments on the book. Now here's the thing, I click on here and you can see its durability is actually going down because I was using it to enchant items and books. It will almost definitely use up durability for those items and very rarely use up durability for making brews. So that's kind of a nice thing to know there. Now look here, I got Mending 2, Protection 4, Sharpness 6, and Power 6. So I could even put a bow on this, or I could use this for multiple different things. It's absolutely fantastic. Now that was not exactly the best combination for someone to use this for. And this is where it might get a little bit dry for some of those people that are watching now. I mean, already I've just been kind of like in an inventory of this thing as it is, and it looks kind of messy if I'm to be honest here. Let's clear that out, put these things away, empty out a bunch of this junk, and I will show you a little bit of some of the things I learned in my experimentations with this table. So at this point, there's something else you should know, is that if the moon is too close to moonrise or moonset, this will no longer function. Now, right now, it doesn't have any parchment in it. Let's put some parchment in there. In fact, get some glass. There we go. And we now have this in here. I can start etching away as I want. On the sides, you will see all of the constellations that are available that night. So you can see we've got Dissidia and Evitus here on the sides. Allow me to advance the night one entire day's worth of time. And you will see that we now have Dissidia and Evitus, as well as some other ones are changing. Dissidia and Evitus. It's just they're very dominant and very major. Evitus and Bootes. Okay, so things have changed up for sure. But you also notice that some of the other constellations changed. So these will coincide with the constellations that you may see in the sky. So therefore, this is also another way of finding out the different constellations that are available that night at a quick glance, which is fantastic. No more having to rely upon your telescope anymore to do that. This will help you with that. On top of that, each one of the constellations will have fantastic and wonderful properties. And that's what I'm going to go over first and foremost. So I'm going to be using my journal to try and use this for you so that it'll be easiest. Clicking on the constellations, we're going to start with Dissidia. Now, Dissidia, in a potion form, should give you strength. On a book, it should give you sharpness and power. It does not give anything on any kind of armor or tools, but when put on a weapon, it should give sharpness like an axe or a sword. Next, we've got Evorcio. Evorcio will give haste and attack speed increase, or make you attack faster if used with a potion. As far as a book, it'll give you efficiency, and on tools, it will give you efficiency. Next, we have Evitus. Evitus will give regeneration in a potion form, mending on a book, and mending on any other tools, weapons, or armors. Armara. Armara will give resistance in potion form, as well as protection to any kind of armors. Next, we have Vicio. Vicio will give speed in potion form, feather falling in book form, and feather falling only on boots in armor sets. And we've got Octans. Octans will give water breathing in potion form, respiration on book form, and respiration on your helm only of an armor set. Mineralis will give you haste and an increase in attack speed in potion form. It will also give you fortune in book and on tools form. Horologium will give you speed and haste, as well as an attack speed increase in potion form. And it will be advanced as well. It will be a much better effect. If you go with a book form, it will give you fortune and looting. And it has no effect on any armors, but it will give looting on different weapons. But if you do have tools, it will give a very high fortune increase. In fact, those that are not normally achievable in vanilla Minecraft. Next up, we have Lucerna. Lucerna will give Nightvision in potion form, book form, and on all sorts of armor, but it will only work if applied on a helm. Bootes is going to give you saturation in potion form, which will basically mean that you will have all sorts of saturation and you will gain the benefits of healing from that, but it will not increase your hunger bar at all. It will just increase the saturation of it. It will also give Silk Touch in book form and Silk Touch on tools only. Fornax will give you fire resistance in potion form, as well as fire aspect, flame, and scorching heat in book form. On armor, it won't do any effect, but on weapons, it will give fire and or fire aspect and flame. Now, Scorching Heat, which will apply to tools only, will be like a smelting effect. So if I use an axe to chop wood, I would get charcoal. If I use a shovel to dig sand, I would get glass, and so on. And here we have Pelotrio. This will give regen and absorption in potion form. It will also give mending in book and on armor form, or, well, just about any item for that matter, but it should give mending. So keep in mind that you can always stack all 3 of one if you want, if you can be fortunate enough to do so, and perhaps get a single effect that you are looking for. In this case, let's grab a book. I think I've got a book in here. I do. So let me just pull this off, put the book in place, and therefore this would allow me to get one specific enchantment that I wanted. It may or may not be stronger. It's not necessarily dependent upon you stacking the specific constellation. In this case, I got Sharpness 4, Power 4, and you can get Sharpness up to like 6. But it all depends on the circumstances, and it may also be random. So if I put another book in here, assuming that it's in the middle of the night, there we go. It may be stronger, it may be weaker, it might be the exact same. It sometimes will vary, especially with potions. Those will tend to have varying degrees of at least times, not necessarily strengths. So that is something to think about, is that there is no exact science on this. It's close enough. And here I have a helm. I'm going to attempt to enchant this in a way that I think would be beneficial. Now, of course, there are many different defensive options available for the, armor in this case. But I'm specifically going to be looking for a combination. All right, here we go. I currently have Armara, Pelotrio, and Evitus. Now, Armara is going to give protection. Pelotrio is going to give a measure of mending, as is Evitus. And I just wanted to use a few different constellations. Hey, I got lucky. And it was close enough to nighttime that I might be able to make this work. So let's put this diamond helmet down here. Perhaps I'll get some good enchants on here. Hopefully it'll turn out pretty decent. There we go. Grab this, and I now have Mending 2 with Protection 4. Not too shabby if I don't do say so myself. Now, of course, you can always add in like a Nightvision on a book or something like that from Lucerna, but in this case I think I'll be just fine with Mending 2 and Protection 4 on this diamond helmet that I have, which is pretty much going to make it last forever. Now you can do this with weapons and tools as well, giving mending, efficiency, fortune, scorching heat, silk touch, and very high fortune chance, etc. It's really strong with how much it can give you, and I highly recommend you guys mess around with it quite a bit. I could go over this for hours with the amount of stuff that I learned from messing around with this, the different things that you can have applicable to your weapons, armors, and so on. You can't stack everything with a single enchant, but you might be able to use an anvil in order to perhaps get things working for you, so that you can combine, there we go, so that you can combine your different enchants onto the weapons and armor if you don't get the exact ones that you're looking for. And therefore, having multiples of the engraved glasses being saved up is something of interest, and it also can tell you what the different recipes are that you used, so that you can try and reproduce those if you got an especially good one. Well, enough about the stellar refraction table. Let's get into the next and final part of this chapter, the iridescent altar. The recipe is fairly simple. As you can see here, I currently have it set up. It will require a lot of starlight. I have a lot of starlight coming in here, so that's not a problem for me. And it will provide a wonderful light show for you to actually see. Now, of course, I do have a ton of other particles in here currently, but you get the idea. It is really, really nice that this currently is just set up with particle madness. But eventually it will make you the new altar. And with this one comes some new items. Not only will you need to upgrade the altar itself, or the area that it will work in, you will also need to, use it a little differently than the last ones you were used to. So with the new structure that you have to build on this one here, it will actually add in an extra bonus feature, and that is a new gem at the center here. But if you look, It's not really there. There's nothing to link to. It's more just for representation that this is now your new observatory of infinite Astral Sorcery madness. And that, my friends, is where I'm going to leave you today with this wonderful, absolutely fantastic mod that is Astral Sorcery. I hope you guys have been enjoying it. So far, it's just been taking up a lot of my time, and I have no qualms about that whatsoever because I've just been loving spending every moment with it. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, spread the mischief to others if you think that they'll enjoy this content too. And until next time, folks, I'll see ya.